Are you looking for healthier, fuller hair? Do you want extra money for bills, trips, extracurricular activities for your kids, or do you want to replace your entire income? Monat is the answer. Our products are Leaping Bunny certified, vegan, and Monat can be used by anyone, including your kids and pets. Message me on my Instagram to partner with me. Founder shares are available, and as a market partner, you have access to uncapped bonuses, 45% commission, 35 to 55% off discounts, on top of all-inclusive paid trips. Right now, I also have a free gift for anyone that partners with me, so don't miss out. You can message me on my Instagram at LizChilvers87.
We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email John at nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Taste with you well, if you've gone sour. You want the world plus everything, but you won't work an hour. And now your questions are kept creeping, and you go and buy her flowers. You throw away the dreams we had, boy. I won't allow it. I said we're gonna fall out. Let's see you get out. I think we're gonna fall out. So shut your mouth.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters, the professionals. It is Sunday afternoon, and Terry Armstrong says, I'm hearing rumours that Amanda's left. Yeah, very funny, Terry. If you watch the Amigos, you'd get that. Good evening to Stu, good evening to Mitch, and good evening to everybody watching. And yeah, we've got a game to talk about. Stu quite rightly put out on his Twitter feed today. And Newcastle United travelled to Hull City yesterday with the backing of 4,500 Geordies. No surprise there. And beat Hull City by 2-0. 2 first half goals. Alexander Isak scoring in the 32nd minute after a simple cross in, and Murphy with a cross-come shot which trickled into the bottom corner to make it 2-0. Very little to do for Nick Pope, and the game did make one wonderful save to deny Regan Slater in the 39th minute. And second half, well, a few changes, although I was watching the game thinking, is he going to wait till the 65th minute here? But he did make the changes, did get everybody a good run out. To be fair, things to point out in the game, Alexander Isak is still the man to watch. With no European football, if he can avoid injury, 20-1 for him to score 20 Premier League goals or finish the top goal scorer is probably worth a daft flutter, bet responsibly though. And it's certainly the replacement goalkeeper who came on for Pope. I'll give the name a go. Vlachodimos. I think that's right. Sounds like Chakademus and Pliers, doesn't it? Yeah, anybody who's a certain age. But anyway, yeah, Vlachodimos came in. I was quite impressed with him. Made a good save as well in the second half. And usual story. Back four looked solid. Livramento playing right back, of course. Jamal Lewis probably shone yesterday, I would have to say, and Byrne and Kraft playing together, as well as Hall playing in midfield. Again, lots of people pointing that out, but I would say Lewis and Hall probably the star players for me yesterday. Really stood out. Isak doing what he does best, putting the ball in the back of the net. Alfie Harrison, lots being made of him by lots of people who probably haven't seen him play. He's going to be the next big thing. He's going to be the next Phil Foden, blah, blah, blah. Let's not pile up pressure on the kid. Didn't really see a great deal from him yesterday against Hull City. So, I was expecting a hat-trick from him and to leave with a match ball under his shirt with all the talk about Alfie Harrison. But yeah, look, looked okay, but so did all the other youngsters who came on. Solid performances from the likes of Sanusi. Of course, we had another Miley playing, not Lewis. Jamie Miley was playing. Parkinson, come on, not Michael, but he came on in the 64th minute. Eddie Howe's favourite time for subs. Turner Cook came on as well. But all in all, look, a solid, blow your cobwebs out kind of fixture. No Sandro Tonali, of course. He remained ineligible to play because he is still banned. There was no Sean Longstaff, no Joe Willock, no Lloyd Kelly. They all trained back on Tyneside rather than travelling to Hull, because ultimately they weren't considered match fit. Fabian Scher, Miguel Miron, well, they're back in training too, but they've been on extended breaks because of their international duties. And Anthony Gordon, Martin Dubravka, Bruno Guimaraes, and Kieran Trippier not back in either, although Kieran Trippier, which we will talk about later on, has been given extended leave by the club and is in a foreign country. Lewis Miley, Sven Botman, Jamal Lascelles, Callum Wilson, and Matt Targett, all injured, so of course not available. And to go with all of that, the Japan squad has been confirmed. It's a 28-man squad, and a lot of those names that I've just mentioned are on the plane. Bruno is going to fly directly from Brazil to join the squad with Kieran Trippier and Anthony Gordon. Kieran Trippier and Anthony Gordon are both omitted because of their extended service with England at the Euros. And as I mentioned, those others who are injured, we can add Joe White to that as well. He's missing out on the trip as well due to injury. If you want any information on the Japan trip, then get yourself on nufc.co.uk or nufc.com, who currently got it pinned at the top of their website. So, Stu, 2-0 win against Hull. I described it as a blow your cobwebs out. That's exactly what it's supposed to be. I know you didn't get a chance to see it. Got to be honest, I got caught out by the kickoff time as well. It was only just because I got a notification that it was kicking off that I managed to jump on. But a few people struggled with the stream, I think, who ordered it as well. But, from what you saw of the game, I'm sure you've seen the goals. What did you make of that yesterday?
Well, thanks for watching, everyone. That was the longest intro ever.
7:42. I think I did one in 9 minutes 40 once, but that was probably to do with a takeover.
But all that just to say that I messed up with the times of the match. As I was moaning about before the show, but tongue in cheek, I have been working incredibly hard in between my trips to Germany and the UK, and I paid the money to get the games on. I've just thought I'll watch what I can watch. And I expected to finish work yesterday about 1 o'clock UK time. And as it happened, I didn't finish until 4 o'clock UK time. But I just presumed it was a 3 p.m. kickoff. And then I put the feed on. Then I was with a client. I come back and I put the feedback on, and it's still just showing the warm-ups. So I put in our little group, didn't I? I says, what time's this match kick off? Because it was about 2:10 UK time. Or 3:10 UK time. And Mitch quite rightly said, it's the second half, mate, we're 2-0. So what I'd forgot to do was press go live. So maybe I am stupid and silly, who knows? So then I pressed the go live and I started watching it, and then I got distracted again, and I managed to get to watch about 30 minutes of it in total, in between like working and staring at the screen I had it on. And then just before it ended, the game ended, it went off and said your live stream is finished. So I didn't even get the value of watching the game till the end. But I'm still of the stance that pre-season friendly is just that. It's a pre-season friendly. And it's about making sure people don't get injured, but it increases their fitness levels. And it's always nice that they win, but it's the same as me as the draw with Tottenham in Australia, the 8-0 loss the youth team had against the Australian All-Stars. There's a purpose for it, and that's it. It's great that Isak seems to have come back and never missed a stride and still knows where the goal is. He's going to be pivotal to our success, and I'm sure we'll talk about other things later on. But regarding this friendly, yes, we won. No injuries, out of the way. The lads are off to Japan. Some of the big boys will come and meet them. The one thing that stood out for me most was the lack of depth in the squad when certain people are missing. And there wasn't that many missing to have the subs bench we did have. So that's always been the case. And let's just move forward, see what happens in Japan, and see who gets added during the week.
Yeah, Mitch, 2-0 win. A good solid start. Good for us to be able to have the opportunity to watch the lads, whether you're at the game or whether you're watching on TV. You still get a chance to see them. Impressed with the fitness. Certainly, one thing Eddie Howe doesn't struggle with is keeping people, getting people up to that kind of fitness level. And Isak scoring again. But yeah, a good solid away win and great support as well.
Yeah, and there's not a lot more you can add to that. It really was a blow the cobwebs out. Let's get this pre-season started, sort of run out. I don't know why people are so surprised at Hall playing so well in midfield. He did for a couple of times last season. And if you remember, when he first come to the club, Eddie Howe wasn't convinced that left back was his ultimate destination as a footballer. So I think it's great to see that we've got options for him still going forward. I think that at times in that first half, we were really in third gear and didn't need to get out of it. And then the second half with the changes like that always disrupts the flow of teams. But it was good to give some of the real young ones a run out as well and see them not look too out of depth against the championship club. It's not a bad measure, I don't think we can get overly excited about it yesterday, but it's good that we'll go forward. It's a good start to the pre-season. Sends off to Japan in good fettle, and that's not a bad thing. And yet, fair play to the thousands that turned out yet again. It's superb when you see how we turn out and numbers everywhere we go, no matter what, and that's something that sends a message back to everybody at the club. We're here, we're behind you, and that's the most important thing, that united front.
Yeah, certainly is. As I say, the lads were off to Japan. I've got to be honest, you were seasoned travellers, you two lads. I didn't realise it took so long to get to Japan. Bruno put something out last night saying 26 hours to go or something. Is it really harder to get to Japan than it is to Australia?
Depends where you're travelling from
Depends
Brazil.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the distance is between Brazil and Japan, like, but 26
I wouldn't walk it anyway.
No. I mean, I'm all for a good walk, like, but that's too much. Anyway, we'll get to
Pacific Ocean's canny big,
Aye.
Yeah, 26 hours though. I'm not going to swim it either.
That'll be with over, I would imagine. It's from Brazil. It'll probably be quicker to go the other way, as Mitch says, over the Pacific.
Yeah,
it's a long way.
Yeah, be Pacific, Stu. I thought Jamal Lewis played well today, and yeah, he did. I mean, look, it was against Hull City. Are they just playing him? Is he getting some time with somebody there to watch him? Are they going to try and get rid of him and try and sell him, or is he going to be part of the plans? Who knows? Yeah, Trippier. Let's talk about Trippier. Lots of people talking about Trippier on social media. The unexpected photograph of him in Greg's at the airport. And then Blue Rhythm Boy saying Trippier's posted a photo from Dubai with a member of Steven Gerrard's backroom staff. Do you expect him to transfer to the Saudi club that Gerrard manages? Other people saying that it's it's looking likely that he is going to go. Just trying to wing my way through a few of the other comments about it. Tuna said, afternoon all, what are the professional thoughts on Trippier flying out to DXB for an extended holiday, then meeting with Saudi club representative and stating on social media, good meeting. I mean, is this where he's going to end up?
I'd say so. For more than one reason, personal reasons, professional reasons. I think he's probably played his last game for England, but I don't think he'll officially retire because he's always like the commitment type. But this is for me, it's a proper payday. As I say, there's personal reasons. I won't go into too much from what we've talked about behind the scenes, but I think it suits him family-wise to be out of the UK. Also, club-wise, he's on a very big contract for someone who, if we all put our hand on our heart and had to pick our first 11, I think you'd get about at least 70% of the fans that would say Livramento should start in front of Trippier. So to have someone on 120 grand plus a week on the bench with all this people peeing the pants about PSR and stuff like that, that money could be utilised elsewhere. But irrespective, if he has kicked his last ball for Newcastle, I still think he was the modern day Killer Kilcline from the Keegan regime. The role that he played, he came in, he galvanised the squad, he led by example, and what a player he was. I mean, his assists and stuff like that. Yes, he's went off the boil over the last 6 months, but again, there's mitigating reasons for that. But for me, when he was on form, it's the best right back I've seen play for Newcastle United. And I think we should be grateful that he came in when he did from the position that we were in. And as I said earlier, led by example and showed people what hard work can do. Because as you both know, I'm a great advocate of the harder you work, the luckier you get. And he has worked really hard to improve his game. And he has got better as the years got on. He's reached his ceiling. And if we look behind the scenes, I know we discussed this in our group earlier as well. Eddie Howe doesn't want him to leave. He would like to have him as part of the backroom staff going forward. He would be ideal to be behind the scenes if his head's screwed on the right way. Again, with the right attitude, I think he could be like an under-21 coach in the making, or even part of the first team makeup. But that's for another time. And sometimes people have to be selfish. And for Kieran Trippier, if for him the right move is to be in the Middle East, pick up a good portion of tax-free money and really secure his family for life, and get out of the goldfish bowl that is the UK, not Newcastle. I'm not talking about Newcastle, it is the UK, especially as an England player, then I've got full support for him. He leaves, if he is to leave, which I believe he is, he leaves with my best wishes. Not that that'll mean anything to Kieran Trippier, but he leaves with my best wishes and a huge thank you for what he's done. And it is, couple that with the Amanda and Mairdad leaving, it is like the turning of a page and a new chapter begins. But they played a huge part in what has been probably one of the most successful chapters over the last 45 years of supporting Newcastle United. So I think he has played his last game. By the way, he wasn't pictured in Greg, Steve. He was in the business class queue. And I know that because I was there in the same queue 3 days before him, flying back here.
Yeah, look, it looked like Greg's, mate.
Now, Greg's is in the background. Greg's is in the background. Greg's very clever way of trying to disguise the fact that he was going to Greg's. Definitely. I don't worry about it. I had 4 sausage rolls in my bag, but I'm not
sure. See, even you went. Even you went. Even you went.
You know, but like I say, he's been magnificent for us. But and then you've got Eddie Howe saying he doesn't want to leave. And he's got to say that. And he's got every reason to say that because he's helped drag us from nigh on certain relegation. And he played a bigger part than most of the other new signings that we brought in. And the players, yes, we've seen the team grow and everything else. But Trippier himself, with his leadership and his commitment and his training ethics and attitude, helped bring the group, grow the group quicker. And that was needed at that time. And I say, what a player he's been for us. But with Eddie Howe saying, I don't want him to leave, Eddie Howe will say that about every player. And I know we again discussed this earlier. He said that about Shelby. Of course, no, I want to keep Shelby. I don't want Bruno. He has a duty of care to be good to the people that he's worked with, and he doesn't want to have any malice. Because in life, you never know when your paths cross again. You know, so he does things the right way. He said the same about Shelby. He said the same about Kieran Clark. I don't think he said about Dwight Gill, to be fair. But he said about Chris Wood. He said about ASM that he doesn't want them to leave. And that's not just, it's nice for the player to hear, but it's also important for that show of loyalty for the people who are remaining. The gaffer's got our back. And he can say, that's out of my hands. I wanted you to stay. But you understand why the club's made this decision. He knows 100% that changes have to be made. Eddie Howe is an astute, clever man, and he shows that in every press conference he does, the way he answers things. And he knows that there's upgrades, improvements, changes, whatever you want to bracket it as, that needs to be made. And with Livramento, we have a right back that can be not just Newcastle's, but England's right back for the next 10 years. And you don't need two of them. And if they did keep Trippier, then you're obliged to give him game time, but with his salary and his commitment and his drive, because an unhappy Trippier behind the scenes would have a bigger effect than a happier Trippier behind the scenes. But that would also have someone like Livramento questioning what's going on here. Do I have to wait till this guy actually retires before I get the game time? I know I'm Premier League ready. I've proved I'm Premier League ready. So sometimes the change in the guard has to happen. And if we can get a decent fee for him, which we should, irrespective of it's Saudi and PSR and the fair market value. We've just had someone who's played 5 or 6 games for England in the most recent European Championships. And yes, he's got his age, but if you look at the prices that Liverpool received for, was it Fabinho last summer? And I'm sure they got something stupid like 40 million. So we wouldn't be unrealistic to ask for half of that. And even then that would be questioned. But he'll do what's right for himself. He'll do what's right for his family. And I think he's a very honourable man. And I think deep down he knows he hasn't got it in his legs now to do a full Premier League season and help us get in the Champions League, because that's our goal. And that's where this season will be deemed as a success or a failure off the pitch. And if we get money in, when we get money in, then guess what'll happen? We'll spend it and we'll get someone else better.
Yeah, it's as always, it's turning into a huge storm on social media, Mitch. Some people saying, yeah, it's time for Trippier to leave, and he's done great things, which of course he has. Other people saying, he shouldn't be doing this on social media. I mean, we can't do anything on social media without causing a huge stir and stink. We want everything yesterday. We want circumstances sorted out, before they get onto social media. I mean, it's not the way it works in the real world. But yeah, look, Trippier's been given extended leave. He's gone to Saudi Arabia, and it looks obvious to me that he is going to move.
Well, he's actually in Dubai, mate.
Dubai's gone right. Okay.
That restaurant.
Yeah, he's met the lads from Saudi Arabia.
Isn't it?
From Etihad, yeah. But even then, the thing you have to remember though is how many clubs has he been at? How long has he been in professional football? Professional football's not a big world, and there'll be people he knows. And this might be a bit of mischief making, but it's not helpful mischief making, in my opinion, if that's what it is. But it's all very well and good him saying, "Oh yeah, great meeting with this one and that one," and this one happens to be the head of scouting at Etihad. But it may be a guy he's known for years in football. They come out here to Dubai often enough, him and his family. And so there's definitely something going on in his personal life that raises questions, and I don't think it's our place to talk about it. There's definitely something going on with regards to, in my opinion, him potentially moving on. And so these are the kind of things we just need to let happen. And of course, the manager's not going to come out and say, yeah, I want rid of him. He's got a book value. If we turn around and say, yeah, we want rid of this one and that one, we're going to plummet that price on the transfer market. And that's not going to help the team at all, is it? So it's always, I guess, delicate. This one's maybe a little bit more complicated by things we're not aware of, where there's hints and there's certain allegations, etc. Again, can do without it. It's a distraction. But you know what? If it's a distraction, that means in the background we're doing stuff for getting players in. I'm happy enough with that to be the distraction. And Trippier is... there's no way you'll ever say he's been anything other than an amazing signing and an amazing servant. And it's as simple as that. People are lining up to have a pop. You know what? I'm getting tired of this. Really getting tired of this.
It's funny, it's like the 2nd of September already, isn't it?
Well, it ties in with the people went in the bed about Minty. He's got the same amount of pre-season goals as Murphy. It's pre-season. It's just not even anything to get concerned about, in my opinion. But there you go. I think the one thing that needs to happen, if I was at the club personally, I'd be pushing to get some sort of signing over the line just to calm people the hell down.
Mitch, can I add to that? I just want to clarify this thing, right? Because it's getting a bit boring now, isn't it? It's like people aren't happy unless they're criticising someone. The reason I said £200 million is because I said that's what I believe we're capable of spending. That doesn't mean the club will spend it because Stu Pedman or NUFC Matter says they'll spend it. I think that's what they're capable of spending. But I'm glad at the moment, or I'm more happy that they haven't spent money rather than just throw it willy-nilly. Because I think what people have to understand is this coming season is probably one of the most crucial in the PIF history, if not the most, after this staved away from relegation. Because if you look at the players that are out of contract next summer, the ones they're bringing in this summer have to be right. And even Daryl said that in his press conference. There's no wiggle room. They have to be right. And I'd rather they take a little bit longer and get the right player for the right price with the right attitude and is the right fit for the team, for the squad to take us on. And I feel like it's I don't mind people having little digs at me if it makes them feel better. But what happened is when I was watching one of your shows and Ben Jacobs says, I don't think we'll spend more. I'd be shocked or surprised. I can't remember the exact word. Surprised if they spend more than £50 million. That's why I said I'd bet £1,000 for charity that it would that we would spend 200 million. So then there's a benchmark in the middle of 125 million. So if it was 126, I was closer. If it was 124, Ben was closer. For whatever reason, and for what a better phrase, Ben dropped his arse and refused the bet. That's his prerogative. It's his obligation. But what I was showing was being positive is a lot more better than being negative, and people buy into the negativity. So if you want some positivity, I mean, I know Alan's had a little go in the chat there as well. He's like, it's a fixation. It's getting a bit worrying. It's like voyeurism. Every show that you're doing, Steve, is comment about Stu Pedman said £200 million. But people can change from 50 to 75 or change it. But I'm not allowed to change my opinion. I still think we'll spend a shitload of money. And I still think by the time we do the professionals next weekend, we have signed at least one quality player. And if I had to put my money down, which no one wants to take on, they all want to have a go. But when you ask them to have a bet, they don't want to have a bet. I will say that we will sign, depends how we pronounce it, Thiao, Meow, whatever his name is, the German centre-half from AC Milan. I think he will be signed this week. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't sign someone else. So let's just say we get him in. And that's going to be at least 30 to 35 million. You add that to the goalkeeper, which I thought was 7 million. But if you read the reports, it's 22 million. Let's keep it at 7 because I'd rather under promise and over deliver than the other way around. So you've got the 33 for Minty. We got that spent 28 for Hall plus extras. The 7 for the keeper. There's 35. Let's say it's 35 again for the Chow. I think it's correctly pronounced. You're on to 70 million already. And all these people who want to have a dig, just for me, it seems like they just want to moan for the sake of moaning, and they're not happy unless they're moaning. Do you not think that the people running the club want a better club? Do you not think people are trying to sign the right players for the betterment of the club? Do you not think Eddie Howe wants a better team? Of course, we support us, but we've got to stop this demanding now attitude, this needy, we deserve this. We deserve, and Ellie swore really badly there, we deserve nothing. We've watched so many bad Newcastle United teams over the years, and I know I said it last week, this is probably one of the best starting 11s I've seen in my lifetime come September. And if that's a reason to complain, then really, I don't know what you want out of life. I don't think your issue is Newcastle United. I think your issue is something else. So if we do sign Chow, as I've predicted we will, by this time next week, I would say during the course of the week, Let me say by the time the Amigos start, Steve, I'll say we've signed at least one star player, right? So by the time the Amigos starts on Friday, that's over the line. So let's say that's 70 million. But everyone knows we need to sign a right winger. Everyone knows we need centre forward cover. We're going to get these for nothing. Absolutely nothing. And we've got these players coming out at the end of the year. But all I'd expect at the end of the transfer window is an apology. Sorry, I was so sad with my own life. I had to keep criticising you, Stu, for being positive. And that's it. Because look at the players that the soul, look at the players released, the spaces of the squad that need to be filled. It doesn't need me, you, Ben, Alan, Mitch, whoever saying that this team needs to improve to get to where they want to be. Do you not think Darren Neal's know this? Do you not think Yasser Ramayan knows this? So they've got money to spend, but they're not going to throw it away just for the sake of throwing it away. They've got a director of football in who is excellent at his job and knows what he wants to do. And he has connections. We will get the right people. Maybe not as quick as we all wanted, and every manager wants the players in at the start of the window. Of course they do. But we don't live in that ideal world. They'll spend money, but they'll spend money in the right players. So I just hope people just calm down and let them get on with the job, because they do watch programs like this. They do watch social media, or have people to watch social media on their behalf. And this desperation and need to criticize, it's on social media, it doesn't reflect Newcastle. As you know, Steve, I've been there a week, and the vast majority I speak to who aren't Twitter savvy think Newcastle is in a fantastic place. And you know what? It's only going to get better. We as a team are only going to get better. Let it happen. Let it happen. And once they sign the centre half, once they sign the right winger, once they sign a cover centre forward, which they know they need to, they've spent 120 to 150 million. So all the doom gloomers and doomsayers and the end of the world is nigh. Find something else to moan about. Do not moan about the club with owners who are desperate to make this club better. Not just for you and me, but for them, for their money, for their investment. Let them do it. Stop being so negative and critical. That's just the way I am. I just think people need to cool the jets a bit and let the professionals, not us, the proper professionals, do their job. They know what they need and they'll get the right people, but they're not going to throw good money after bad for the sake of it. They have to get it right. And whether that'll be a right winger from Forest, a right winger from Brentford, or someone from another, whoever they get will be the best person available for the position that they've chosen. And if we don't trust them by now, the amount of money that they've ploughed in and asked for nothing back, then really sometimes they don't deserve, or we don't deserve their support. We need to give them support and let us support them as they've supported us. So please, anyone, if they want to have a bet with me, 50 million to 200, just put a little comment in the channel. If not, STFU. And that's me being polite.
Well said. It's interesting stuff, and a lot of people having a say in the chat. A lot of positivity there. Lots of people like you being positive, Stu, as well. Look, for me, I think you're right what you say, but I still think we'll spend a lot of money. But I think Spenny made a decent point there as well. That, we need to get players out, Mitch. Players need to go out the door as well, and we have got a few there. I talked about Jamal Lewis earlier on. He looked great against Hull City, but Newcastle, I'm sure, will be looking to offload him. It's not a position which we're struggling in. You would imagine that now he's fit and he's, he had a loan spell. Last season he could go out either on loan or they'll be hoping they can get rid of him permanently. So these games sometimes are used to offload players, aren't they?
Shop window kind of games, yeah. That's actually one of the most difficult things we've got, is to shift certain players. Because they're on wages determined before PIF came in, because they're in tail end of long contracts and they're within their right to get that money or to want that money. So it creates a very difficult balance to about how can we get and what's the most efficient way to get those wages off our wage bill and get some sort of value for the player. Though I'm thinking freeing the wages up is probably more important than any fee per se for 2 or 3 of those players.
Yeah, getting players out's key, Stu, as well, isn't it? Getting rid of players, like I've mentioned.
Yeah, of course, Steve, we need to have buyers for these players. You mentioned Lewis there. I think they've been trying to get rid of him for the best part of 2 or 3 years. And yesterday, the bit I seen of him, yeah, there was promise, and it was reminiscent of the one good game I can remember having him for Newcastle was Everton away when he set up a goal for Wilson in the 2-0 win. One of those rare wins under Steve Bruce away from home. But he's not where we need to be. And again, we have to look at taking off the emotional side of it, and we have to sometimes think, right, what is going to take this club forward? Who is going to take this club forward? They've got the structure right off the pitch. And by getting their structure right off the pitch, they have to get the structure right on the pitch. Because I know, and I keep talking about this group that we've got, but I said it earlier in the week. Do you know what? 98% of Newcastle fans couldn't give a flying fig who's in the boardroom as long as the team on the pitch is winning. But if you've got a successful group of people in the boardroom winners, you'll get a team that will win in time, but consistently, not just a fly in the pan thing. It'll be consistent success. And that's what we want. Do we want? Of course, we're all craving for a bit of success, a cup win of any sorts, League Cup, FA Cup, Conference. You know, we're all excited that we're going to be in Europe with the Conference. It's a great opportunity to win a trophy. But imagine and we win it, but imagine being able to do it every year. That's what they're building. This goes back to the skyscraper that Murdad referred to 2 or 3 years ago. You know, and if you want to keep using old adages, Rome wasn't built in a day, etc. What we've got now is a structure of people who, to coin one of your phrases, Steve, have put their head above the parapet. They're saying that they're the best in their field. We've recruited them. We've recruited the best available, and now we've got an off-field team that's in place, that everything has to be geared to make that first 11 the best it possibly can be. So if anyone doubts that they spent all this money getting CEOs, CFOs, whatever they've brought in to make the first team weaker, seriously need to, I don't know what they need to do without being vulgar or rude. They need to just absolutely just calm down and stop being angry about things that they don't need to be angry about. This club is run by professional people who know exactly what it takes to succeed. And yes, we want it now. We all want it now, you know, but we're closer than we've probably ever been realistically of having a sustained spell of success. And we're being hampered by other teams in the league, by rules that have been put in front of them, but yet they keep coming and keep giving us as much money as possible. And that's it. Let them do their job. Our job is to support them. And 4,500 fans yesterday at a away game for a friendly shows that they've got the support of the vast majority of people, ignoring about 10 or 20 people on Twitter who just want to create drama for interactions because their life's so sad. So we are in a fantastic place as Newcastle United supporters. And, you know, the first game of the season when it comes up, remember we used to get excited every year and then we'll get beat at home off Millwall. We get trounced away at Everton. And the season's finished after one game. This season's not going to be finished until the last kick of the season. And it was last season just gone. It was the last kick of the season that we were in Europe. The last kick of the whole league, of the whole competitions, put us out of Europe when Man United got a win against Manchester City. That team, with those injuries, those suspensions, got that far. Imagine now there's 3-4 places out the squad gone. Do you think they're going to buy worse players to put in those places or better? We are on the up. Just let them do their job and let it happen.
Yeah, for those of you coming in late, no, it hasn't been anything major. It's just obviously a little bit of criticism flies around every now and then, and we do tend to answer critics and criticism with either facts or with an honest opinion. I think that's what Stu is doing. And yeah, listen, wait till 1st of September and see where we're at. That's what we do. Bullseye says, I love this show. I agree with Stu. NUFC is a lifestyle, not a choice. And Trevor, good evening, mate. Hope you're well. He says, 2 windows ready to have an Eddie squad. The outs will be the hard work. That's the focus. Christopher says, personally, I want to win things, but we've got to be patient. 3 years ago, I had no faith in the old guard. And Michael West says, Stu for Chief Executive Officer. And, Keith Hart says more bedwetting than a book of Coldplay lyrics. So yeah, lots of comments. Keep them coming in. As always, we've got plenty to get through tonight. We won't get through all the questions, unfortunately, but we'll do our best to get through them. We'll have a quick break. We'll be back after this.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find their website at skipsandbins.com. Contact us, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Their website, mrvickys.co.uk. Email info@mrvickys.co.uk. Telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to United Group Travel. They are the Travel and Tourism Award winners in 2024. Their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com or telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. A big thanks to Media Arts. You can find them at www.media-arts.co.uk. And don't forget, we are a podcast. You can find us on iTunes or Spotify or other podcast providers. If you want to help the channel grow, then hit the like button, the little thumb underneath the video, click share and share to your social media, or join the channel for as little as $1.99 a month. If you want to take out a one-off payment membership, go to nufcmatters.com and hit membership. And for a £25 fee, you get a scarf, a cup, a pen, and a membership card. You can also put a smartphone over the top of this QR code. It'll take you straight there. And don't forget, we also help the food bank on this channel. NUFCfansfoodbank.co.uk is a website where you can make a virtual donation today.
And last chance to get your tickets for an evening with Gibbo and Rob Lee. They will be at Gateshead Leisure Centre this coming Friday, and tickets are available £30, gatesheadleisurecentre.co.uk. And one for your diary early next year, Peter Beardsley will be at the Irish Centre with Joe Allen, and that is tickets £30, and tickets for that at newcastlelegends.com. And this one at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House, 24th of January, 15 of the entertainers, including Peter Beardsley and Rob Lee, will be there. 0844 249 1000 or Tyne Theatre and Opera House.uk is the website to buy your tickets for that. Don't forget as well, if you are watching on Twitter, please jump over onto YouTube and subscribe to the channel, NUFC Matters. Just hit the subscribe button. 471 of you watching on YouTube already, which means we've got another 400 of you watching on Twitter tonight, 820 watching. We don't take it for granted. Yes, Stu?
Just two quick things before we go to the next question. And I've never done this before, but if people like this show, can they actually, if they're in a position company-wise, to give it a sponsor? Not to make extra money, it just gives me time to finish my fag before you come back on. And the second one is the world record signing that we made. Remember Alan Shearer?
Yeah.
He was signed, wasn't he? And then he flew out to, was it Thailand, to join the squad? Did anyone complain then? Just let them get on with it, man. That's it.
Good stuff. Mark Byers mentioned this with Ben Jacobs, but would be a mismatch. How about a charity wrestling match versus Ben and Alan Thompson tag team? I imagine two of them would get patted around the ring. Thanks, Mark.
That would be like a fire, wouldn't it? Two sticks, rubbing them together.
It would be like that Idiot Abroad program where he had to go sumo wrestling. That was hilarious, that episode. Ron Bennett says, anyone had that Mr. Vicky's King Maga chili sauce? Yes, Steve Hasty and I had it at an event, Ron. It is lovely when you first taste it. After that, got smoke coming out of your ears, mate, but that is the whole point of it. Okay, big thanks to Don as well. He says, still no mention of our man of the match, Murphy. We mentioned him at the start. He was great, Don. Had a great game, and he always plays with a smile on his face. and another goal for him as well. But thanks for taking the membership out for 23 months. Let's see what questions we've got. There was an interesting one about Isak, which I did save. Let me get me there it is. Yvonne. Good evening, Yvonne. Hi, guys. Isak plays all games prior to the start of the season. If he's injured, we've got nothing in reserve, which is a worry. It's interesting because he looks fit, Mitch, doesn't he, Alexander Isak? And he scored a goal yesterday. I can understand Yvonne's nervous about it because at the moment, Callum Wilson now will miss the first game. That's been confirmed by Eddie Howe yesterday. We've still got no striker unless we get one in before the start of the season. We are in the same predicament as we were last year.
He cruised through the game yesterday. Looked fit as a lop. No bother at all. But yes, I would like to get away from the position where we feel like we're constantly wrapping them up in cotton wool. However, the challenge that we have is that who's out there at the right price, who has the right sort of profile and experience, etc., who would be happy to come in and play second fiddle at best, and when Wilson's back and fit, is he playing the third fiddle? And I don't see who's going to be happy to do that. We'll find out with a younger player, possibly. But I promise you this, if we're seeing this, I'm sure Paul Mitchell's seeing this as well.
Yep.
And so, it again comes back to the structure. We're now having a structure at the club that really does give ultimate accountability. And so, yes, it would be nice to have somebody in yesterday, but we are looking for something very particular. Not quite a unicorn, I don't think, but we're looking for something that not just any player is going to rock up and do that, you know. But it would be really lovely to have somebody in reserve who maybe has experience, that we could rely on, that adds a different skill set that complements what Wilson and Isak can do, or, in my opinion, a hungry youngster who, if given a chance, would grab it with both hands and say, okay, then drop us if he ever gets into that situation. So I think that's the challenge we've got. But I'm quite sure that if we see it, people at the club and in the right places will see it as well.
Yeah, I thought Pope played well, Ron. I mentioned that earlier on. He didn't seem it didn't seem awkward going down. I mean, you got to remember it's the same shoulder that he had the problem with when he was at Burnley, and you know he played some great games for us without injuring it. Just a freak incident. So, Ron, yeah, you're right. He did play well. Yeah, Isak, should he be rested, Stu? You know, there is concerns. I mean, you know, I think that's what Yvonne was getting at. You know, he's going to play all these friendlies, and you know, what happens if he gets injured? But I mean, you can't live your life like that with a football team.
No, he should be wrapped up in cotton wool and bubble wrap and everything. But he is a very special talent. And I read one stat during the week that in this fantasy football thing, so that's not just Newcastle United supporters, it's football fans from all over the world that enter it. He's in 54% of people's teams. So they all know we've got something special. And the question that was asked was, what are the other 46% thinking of by not putting him in the team? And that wasn't from a Newcastle fan. So we have a genuinely world-class centre forward, and what we should do is treasure it, marvel it, and yes, and we know it, the players know it, the coaching staff know it, the owners know it. Who was the first player that the chairman went to at the end of the season, the last home game of the season? It was straight to Isak and had his arm around him. And what he's saying is, you're here, don't worry about that. And there will be a new contract for him. For certain, there'll be a new contract for him because he deserves it. Goal scorers are priceless. And when you've got one who can score with both feet, score with his head, make everything look as easy as he is, with the pace he's got, the vision he's got, he is the complete centre forward. And he's a player that we can build a team around, or at least be the focal point or tip of the arrow for what we're looking to achieve. I'm sorry I mentioned cigarettes because everyone's talking about smoking in the chat. The Isak, they will get another centre forward for sure. They will, and I think Mitch mentioned it last week where it was said that this thing of Wilson might have been okay. You're getting all these injuries, but it might have been caused by this. Let's get it fixed. And then I believe I added on. There's only a few games before the first international break. So, of course, we can't expect Isak to play 90 minutes. Well, it's like 100-minute games now, isn't it? To play that 38 times a season plus cup games, hopefully many cup games that we'll have in the 2 domestic cups. But it'll be great to have someone that can give him that rest. But the way Isak is, like any other player who's on top of the form, they don't want to come off the pitch. If he scores 2, he wants to get 3. He scores 1, he wants to get 2. If he hasn't scored, he's got enough belief in his own ability to score. And there's enough trust with his teammates to be able to do that. So even if we say no one, which even the most pessimistic person will think, yes, Newcastle will still sign people. It's just a case of when. But I don't think in the boardroom they're sitting thinking we better make a signing now to pacify people. I think they're thinking we've got X amount of time to get the right person or the right people to take this club forward. But with Isak, of course, it'd be best not to flog him too much. But you can't put a player on the pitch scared that he's going to get injured. You know, it happens in the game. So if I know that, Eddie Howe knows that, Paul Mitchell knows that, Darren Needle knows that, ESL Mike knows that. So I reckon that they'll be doing what they can to get the right person. But if you want a superstar sub, it's not going to happen. You know, you're not going to go and get, I don't know, someone like Solanke, who's had the season of his life at Bournemouth, the Cup of Newcastle number 2. And you can get 20 odd games, but you can to a young player where you can say, look, what we'll do is over the course of the season, you will appear in 30 games, 20 to 30 games. You will be learning from, when fit, Callum Wilson, who is excellent when he's playing. And if you can't learn from someone like Isak in your role, also understand football a bit better through the coaching that they get. And invariably, every player improves at Eddie Howe and his coaching staff. That's what they need to be looking at. And it will give, you need to give respect to Isak. But at the start of the season, I would want to give him a rest. He's chomping at the bit and showing that. The best I did say yesterday, the 20-30 minutes I've seen, I watched him run back into midfield and tracking back and putting tackles in on the halfway line when the move broke down on the edge of their box. That's what we want. So let them have it. Keep them going. And yes, if he gets an injury, is that any different to Salah being injured at Liverpool? They don't have a direct replacement for him. There's no direct replacement for Haaland at Manchester City either. And they're far more further down the line in their development than what we are at Newcastle United. We don't have to, but I prefer to trust the process because they want the success just like we do. Isak is special and everyone knows it. So do we rest him now? Why would we rest him now? Give him half in Japan, give him half in the next game, give him 60 minutes because the more time he's likely to be injured is when he's playing when he's not fully fit. So you've got to give him the minutes to build up his full fitness. It's all geared up to winning against Southampton on I think it's 18th of August. 17th of August, sorry. If you look at the results, I think it could go on there. Celtic beat Man.
Stu, I'm gonna have to stop you there, Stu, because I've been waiting to jump in because I thought you would have tailed off, but you haven't. Your internet's getting progressively worse to the point where we can't hear you now, mate. So I'll kick you out and I'll let you sort it out and come back in, mate.
I'll do it.
There we go. Yeah.
I think it's a regional problem, mate, because I had trouble at the start and I've just had to dive back in again myself. So,
yeah, it does happen. Have you heard anything about this special Jose saying, what do you think about the FA supposedly looking into the transfer of Oddie and Elliot Anderson?
Yes, I have. And it's coming from the same sources that were desperate to tell you we were shy of PSR when we weren't, and from people who are desperate for it to feel it.
Right.
So that's where it's coming from. The the doubt seems to be pointed more at Forest because they're an easy target. But anybody who's done business with Forest, they're trying to suggest that the fees have been inflated and been tweaked, and that they just happen to be just the right amounts in certain places. It's one of these things which I think you'll find there'll be nothing in it.
Yeah.
But
okay.
There's definitely there's a rumour being put out there, but I'm still convinced it's from the same people that were desperate to feel it in the first place, etc.
Okay. Alan asks, do you think the transfer window should finish as soon as the season starts, or are you happy that it finishes when it does on the 1st of September? Not the end of August, Alan. The first. I know I'm being pedantic there, but it's not the end of August, it's the start of September. Yeah, I mean, should it finish? Well, you know, I mean, I'd rather there wasn't a transfer window.
Yes.
I'd rather take it back to the good old days when you could do business all year round. That's what I think.
The whole transfer window thing was brought in again to be another thing that should even the playing field. And I think, for me, it's one of these artificial constructs that was done. In terms of the transfer window, I don't think that was done to make it better for the big clubs, etc. I think it was a genuine attempt to try and find a way to level playing fields in some respect. But to be honest with you, it hasn't worked. Your transfer window leads to a frantic 48 hours where most of the deals get done. And you look at the amount of clubs who've been stranded through injury problems, ourselves included. We could have done with an ability to bring somebody in last season when we couldn't. And so it's not just us that gets affected by it, though, you know. And I think the whole concept of the transfer window is just proven to be rubbish. So why not go back to signing players whenever you can and whenever somebody's prepared to do a deal? I don't see how it would make anything better or much worse in the world of football at the moment.
Transfer windows, Stu, when would you like to see it begin and end, or would you, like me, would you like to see it just be all year round?
Yeah, well, if there's a transfer window for players, there should also be a one for managers as well. To say, right, this is what you've chosen to start the season. The only time you can change your manager is in the January window. But just the point that Neil Calvert put on there, I'm tending to agree that it's been more TV revenue driven. It creates a drama. It gets the advertisement in, specifically like Sky Sports in the UK. Is it really beneficial? Yes, you can see it where if someone they know, right, this is what we've got, this is what we've got to play with. But we also have to be careful because we keep asking we want this PSR FFP to be finished. What happens if it was and we weren't backed by such wealthy owners? Yeah, at least you know there's an end to it once the window closes. No one's going after October. Oh, there's been an injury at Man United. Well, they've got more money than most. They'll just go and pick your best player. And there's nothing you can do about it because that has happened. Liverpool were experts at it in the 80s and early 90s, where they would just go buy someone in February or March time to help them, Alan Pardew-esque, get over the line. So there's pros and benefits for it. And basically, if that's what the rules are, that's what the rules are. The transfer, thankfully, with the time difference, I don't get absorbed with it. You know, I'm not one of them sitting up waiting till midnight UK time to see who we've signed. Because I think if we're going to sign someone, would have done it by now.
I'm just laughing. Captain Keyboard says Steve Wraith with his satanic Olympic background there, I see. Dear me, now. It's gone from being Mickey Mouse here to a satanic Olympic background. Dear me,
I'm not painting myself blue again.
Don't start putting that on the internet, Captain Keyboard. Trevor says, gents, please have a serious debate. Ground remain sentiment versus move commercial viable necessity. We've discussed it over black and white in the face, Trevor, really on the Amigos, which you may not have seen. I'll keep it very short. We've got to move to progress. So moving to Leazes Park for me would be the most obvious choice, still within the confines of, in the shadows of St James's Park, still slap bang in the middle of the city, great for bars and restaurants. And yeah, look, sentiment will always be there with were memories, with St James's Park. But yeah, we've got to build it. We've got to build another stadium, Trevor. Let's hope that we can build it at Leazes Park, and that area will be fantastic. I'm sure the design of the ground will be great, and I'm sure what they'll do is, make that area wonderful. So yeah, that's what I would like to see. Mitch?
I've said it for a long time that, and all the things that myself and particularly Steve Hasty looked at over time, there would come a time where we would have to square the circle that a new ground with the right capacity, with a modern design, modern 24/7, 365, additional facilities added onto the side, was something we would have to seriously consider as a club if we wanted to keep up with the big boys or join the big boys. And that's always been the way for a number of years for me, particularly when the potential Canadian bid did their own looking at things. And bear in mind, one of the people involved with that was quite senior with a company who design stadia in the States, and they couldn't get around the planning problems for expansion of St James's Park. And if we could do something at St James's Park, where would we play for a period in the interim? Because there was always going to be a period of time where we might not be able to play games there because of the building work. And so it does become that emotion, heart versus head thing. I squared that circle a long time ago. I would love to find an amazing solution out of nowhere to keep St James's Park with upgrade on what we have and inside and out. I just, from purely business point of view, what that would cost versus building something from scratch that was exactly what we need, probably wouldn't be too much difference in cost, and therefore it makes sense to think about a new ground. But it has to be done right. It has to be done sensitively. I think you're right about the Leazes Park solution and keeping it in a similar area. I think would be the way that would eventually keep most people happy. And I think that's what we've got to look at it like. Whether that goes forward as is or not, time will tell. I don't think personally it'll be too long before we hear more on this from the club. Just my gut feeling from rumblings around a few places. But let's see.
Yeah, one person saying they wouldn't want to lose Leazes Park, but most people are in favour, I guess, of a move from St James's just to Leazes. And I mean, I'm sure they would create a new Leazes Park on the West St James's Park is now. Something would be done. They wouldn't just take away a park and replace it with nothing. And it depends how far it goes in. I don't think we'd lose everything, but I guess we'd have to see the plans first. It's only a discussion on a podcast. It's nothing that we've seen in concrete. But yes, Stu, what would you do? Just to reiterate for Trevor, who hasn't heard the debate we've had on this.
Well, maybe is it just a coincidence that Leazes Park lost its special status or whatever status it was? That's recently just coincides with the feasibility study being ready. I think not. I think there's been a tremendous amount of work done behind the scenes for the last couple of years. Anyone daft enough to listen to me on this show will know I've been a great advocate of moving, not because I don't like St James Park, it's because it's an absolute necessity. But if we do move, what Mitch was saying, we get a bigger stadium in Leazes Park, it has to be the preferred choice. There'd be too much of an outcry if it was an out-of-town thing. We're not an out-of-town club, we're a city club, and the stadium needs to be in the city, there's space there for it. But you're right, Steve, it's what they do to replace Leazes Park, and I'm sure they'll do something where the old St James Park is, where the current St James Park is. The information that we were privy to earlier in the week, and I won't mention the person's name because I think he wants to remain nameless. The information that we received, this is what we know, is that they will proceed with a new stadium at St James Park, at Leazes Park. But initially, and this is something that we said right back maybe 2 or 3 years ago, they'll build 3 sides of it and then turn the Leazes round. So they don't need to go looking to play elsewhere. You know, we're not in London, we're like Tottenham, where they could have played at Wembley, as Rangers are currently playing at Hampden because their ground's falling down, etc. We need to be able to stay in the city centre. And for all the goodwill in the world, if you start taking money out of the businesses that are making money from the team, then you're not going to get the support that you need. So economically and emotionally, it makes sense to have it in Leazes Park, providing providing the footprint that they put forward is the correct one and it's done the right way. So I reckon if you've got a 70,000 stadium planned, you could build 3/4 of it, still stay in James Park, and then it gets up to the summer. Bear in mind, we've got the Euros in 2028. That will be at St James Park. So they've got like 4 years to build it unless this new super stadium is ready beforehand. You then somehow manage to flip Leazes stand round. But even until then, if that's only a 20,000 stand, you've still got 50,000 seats in a 3/4 stadium. We've seen it before. The only thing that's changed, no, the reference I used was Trigger's broom, wasn't it? The only thing that stays the same is the grass on the pitch, and even that gets changed every summer. The stadium has metamorphosed that many times in my time of supporting Newcastle United. You put on so many pictures, Steve, of the old stand. Remember, where it had Newcastle United written on it, where we used to have a queue at the ticket office up in the back corner and towards Barrack Road. Then we seen the stands changing, where they had the temporary changing rooms in the corner of next to where Leazes Terrace is. We've seen this all the time, whether the ground has changed, but we have to move with the times. People can't demand a bigger, better football team without revenue. So we know there's a big push against corporate, but we understand that corporate is required, but not at the expense of the better fan. So you can't fit them all into 52,000. So a new stadium of 70,000 should be enough to cover everyone, but also allow families, children, because that's the lifeblood. Because we do have a very old fan base, season ticket wise, and no one's giving their tickets up. So it's only going to get older. We need to get the kids back in. So on that basis, I genuinely believe maybe it's not, well, I don't want to put a time frame on it, but in the not too distant future, there will be an announcement. And I know Murdad said that St James's Park is where we get to stay. Murdad's not there anymore. And I believe the people in situ now in the boardroom want the new stadium. It's an evil necessity, if you want to put it that way, but it is required. And the amount of times Mitch and myself have said that especially living in this region, they want a big, brand new, shiny stadium, something that's going to be fantastic. And even when they do that, it'll still be criticised. Remember the Angel of the North, when it got laughed at when it first got put up, but now people are capable of being proud of it and bragging about it. But this isn't just a statue, this is our home. And bollocks to those who say cathedral on the hill, because I've never heard a proper fan call it that in my life. You know, we've said it, we'll go to the match, we'll go to the ground, and that's it. This is the Sky version of football, trying to rename things. It'll still be called St James's Park, whether it's the Ramco Stadium at St James's Park or whatever. We know what it's called. When we talk to each other, do we say, "Oh, well, we're off to St James Park this afternoon"? No, we don't. We say we'll go to the match, we'll go to the ground, and that's it. We're going to see the lads play. That's what's being said. And again, we'll just refer back to people just wanting to twist on 21. It's a necessity. Growth, change has to happen for us to improve. And if it means putting an extra 20,000 seats in the stadium and it makes everyone happy, I think you'll find people wanting to go against it because they'll have nothing to complain about.
Yeah, it was an interesting one there. Somebody said, "Do you think we'll still keep the slope on the pitch?" I don't think they'll go to that extreme. Jason, thank you for your 24 months membership, mate. Much appreciated. If you want to become a member, it's $1.99 a month, folks. Just click the join button underneath. And we've got 1,019 watching tonight. Thank you for watching. That means 500 of you are watching on Twitter. Please open YouTube and just search NUFC Matters. Hit the subscribe button. Every subscription does count and does help us, and it is free. John, he says, afternoon, lads. What would you give for a dull week or two on Barrack Road? Admittedly, that might not be good for podcasts, but you know what I mean. He says, if something's worked superbly well for 2.5 years, why fix it? Do you think the major changes in the way we conduct transfer business is unnecessary and a bit disturbing? Majuk from Chelsea has ability, but isn't a team player. It's doubtful Eddie would be interested. If he ends up here, will that confirm that Paul Mitchell now has the main say on transfers, or am I being over the top? Mitch.
Good questions. I still think we'll never really know unless somebody stands up, chucks like toys out the cot and makes a very public statement what the dynamic in terms of transfers are. If Eddie was to walk away and say, well, I wasn't supported with this, wasn't supported that, then I guess we'll know. One would hope it would never come to that. Yeah, difficult one to sort of look at. I think everybody's working out within this new structure where we're at and where we're going forward. Anybody jumping on a player before he's even kicked the ball forward, Murphy's probably a good example to look at. I think it's fair to say 2 seasons ago he was miles behind Almiron. And now, who would you say is better? Players can develop when they're ready, how that's something he's exceptionally good at. And if they see somebody with the right talent levels that they can work with, I'm all for bringing somebody like that in. I think it's difficult to say otherwise. I don't think we'll ever really know unless, like I say, somebody really does have a wobbler.
Has he been over the top, Stu? John?
Well, I don't know, because, you know, for me, I don't know if you pronounce it, is it Maduke or Maduk? There's potential there, but look at the criticism we got when we chased down and then eventually bought Anthony Gordon, and how many people said, well, what a waste of money, we shouldn't get him, his attitude's bad, and now he's brilliant. So if that's who they really do sign, then I've got every belief in faith that they've seen things that, bear in mind, that's their profession. We just support and mostly criticise when we should be praising. But if they then decide that's the choice or the best option available to improve this squad, then I'm all for it and I'll back them. So for Maduka, see Gordon, also, you know, we've been linked with so many players. We'll probably spend the next 3 hours talking about the players. Yeah. If we're picking a right winger from the right winger that's attainable from the Premier League, my preference would be Mbemo from Brentford, but that doesn't mean that that's who will sign. But what we have to get used to is we're not shopping in farm foods anymore. You know, we're looking at the best available in the UK and in Europe, and in time, the best players will want to come to Newcastle. At the moment, we're trying to entice them, but give it 2 or 3 years, they'll want to come and play for us. Like people want to go and play for Man City at the moment. They want to come and play for us, but it has to be done staggeredly. You know, and again, going back to Murdad's reference to we're building a skyscraper. Strangely, I've been watching a documentary on 9/11 that's just come out. It's a 6-part series. Not to plug another show, but I've been watching that. And you know what goes through my head, Steve? If I'm being a bit morbid at the moment, is we complain about things. You watched any of those documentaries, that's real life. They had some of the things that the family had to go through, some of the people in the buildings had to go through. That's drama, that's harrowing, that's life-changing, life-losing. And we're complaining we haven't signed Maradona-esque players on the, what were we now, the 28th of July. You know, we need to sometimes get our priorities sorted, but as I said, we're not shopping in farm foods and getting a 3-page spread out of Jeff Hendricks. we're looking at some of the most exciting young talent in the continent and probably beyond that will improve our club, because we have people who want to improve our club, not just improve their own bank balance. They can afford to wait, and they all understand those 11 people who cross the line on the cathedral of the hill and represent Newcastle United. Their success will determine their success, if that makes sense. So you can have the best boardroom, but if the team's rubbish, then the boardroom makes no sense. So they need the team to be successful. They'll get a successful team. So we can't talk about every link, because, you know, Barry Hogan, he's got to be over 200 by now. You know, so if Maduka's the player, then so be it. I look forward to watching him develop and scoring goals in the black and white strip and getting loads of assists.
Interesting this. Neil Calvert says, question for you lads, the delay of the away kit, the financial impact it may have with sales to help with transfers. Do you think it was Castori? More would have been made. And another question from Derek. Guys, why are the club so poor with merchandise? First Castori, now Adidas. Why can't they be transparent and tell the fans why the away shirt is delayed? We are less than 4 weeks away. I've got to be honest, it's not a story I've kept on top of this. I mean, I know it was supposed to be out this month, the maroon was it? Yeah, but I mean, it hasn't been released. What have they made any statements? Have I missed it? What's going on with that? I mean, I don't seriously believe that we're sitting waiting for that to come out and make a transfer. By the way,
when the home shirt was produced, they suggested a timeline for the release of the away and the third shirt, if I remember right. But I don't think they gave specific dates.
Right.
I'll tell you what I think may be going on is numbers. Somebody told me pretty early on that the club were suggesting that Adidas needed to make more, that they hadn't produced enough merchandise for the demand for the shirts. And I'm wondering whether they've seen how the home shirts sold like hotcakes, and whether they're hanging on to make sure there's enough of them to be made available in the right places, so people can actually get their hands on them.
Was there not some Twitter account, X account, that we looked at in our WhatsApp group, which somebody put the actual sales figures down, or did I dream that? Did somebody put down?
No, we did bounce something around, didn't we? Yeah.
I can't remember what it was.
Steve, I honestly think, even with all the expertise and experience of Adidas, I think they didn't even anticipate the amount of interest in sales that a Newcastle United shirt with Adidas on the badge would create. And I think it's caught them up on the hop a bit, because I'm sure I remember it was meant to be 7th of June, 7th of July, and 7th of August for the 3 strips, and it was strategic. And I can only talk from personal experience. Last week when I was home, I went into the, it looks like, for me, I used to call it looks like changing rooms when we were playing football as kids, where they've got the supporter shop at the minute. I went in there and I wanted it's like a tracksuit with a zip to halfway down in the hood on the back. So I suppose it's called a hoodie with a zip. And they didn't have anything above a medium. And then I looked for something else. They didn't have that size. And nothing's been said about it. So if I am being negative, hopefully you realise it is out of the ordinary. But that's because everyone's just went Adidas crazy. And for me, getting rid of Castori, however you want to pronounce it, was the last shelling off the P off the Mike Ashley regime. And Adidas is the biggest brand, and I think everyone just wants to get on board with it. And I think even Adidas have been taken aback by it. So I think because we're happy to be affiliated with them, delighted to be affiliated with them, and we know their plans to make us globally recognised, which is going to help our growth. There hasn't been as much criticism as there possibly could have been, or there definitely would have been under Castor. But I think there's probably delayed it because the association with the entertainers, or the back end of the entertainers in 95, 96 with the claret and blue hoop shirt, I think they realised that's going to be even more in demand than the black and white stripes. and I think they're just making sure they've got the numbers right and the name badges right and everything else right before they release it. It might tie in with the Stella weekend. You know, they could do some sort of thing where buy a shirt, buy 2 shirts, spend X amount of money, get a free ticket because the ticket sales have been slow. That's for the marketing department. That's just one of my suggestions. They can have for free if they haven't thought of it. But I genuinely believe they've been taken aback by the huge demand for shirts.
The demand.
Not just in Newcastle, but worldwide.
I'd agree. And I'd like to say it ties in with something that I was told early on this season, or rather early on in the summer. And I didn't make too much of it because it would have sounded like I was stirring up trouble. Oh, they're not happy with Adidas. They haven't made enough shirts. But maybe the demand has caught Adidas on the hop. And rather than launch with not enough stock, they've just held back until there's more stock available.
Steve says, perhaps we should all slim down a little bit. It used to be a government initiative, that. People as well. Mitch is battling away. He's got 10 minutes left. He's got a migraine, so he's done most of this show with a migraine. Thank you, Mitch. You can't see out of one eye.
Sorry.
As a fellow sufferer of migraines, mate, I can quite happily say I've done a few myself on this channel like that, and it's not the nicest thing. But 10 minutes to go. We'll try and get through lots more questions. Spenny says he's calm about transfers. He's gone mad in the bloody messenger chat during the show, completely putting us off. You're not that calm in the messenger group on Facebook, Spenny. Anyway, Luke Bailey, he says, does anyone feel going all the way to Japan with the obvious intention to increase our worldwide fan base will be worth it, considering how many first-team stars won't even be there? I disagree with you, Luke. I mean, there's a lot there. I mean, the ones who aren't there are Mackems, of course. Have you ever seen a Mackem in Japan? Which has been sent to us about 15 times. Thank you, everybody, for sending us that. But yeah, I'd say there's a decent smattering of first-team players and young up-and-coming players going, Stu.
Well, who's not going? Is it just Anthony Gordon?
Anthony Gordon and Trippier, who might not be a Newcastle player by this time next week.
Exactly right. So for me, it's just Anthony Gordon from the first team. And if anyone deserves a rest, it's him. I mean, you can debate he had one during the Euros, but he's obviously working as hard to be fit if and when he was called on when he should be. But he played all last summer, and he's played all season, nearly every game bar the last one, I think. So if he gets a little bit extended break, no need to fly him to Japan and back again. And knowing what we do know of Anthony Gordon, I'm sure he's had his little break and he'd be chomping at the bit to be on the training ground doing everything he can to make sure he is match fit for the start of the season. And why waste a day travelling there and a day travelling back when that could be utilised better for him? But as I understand it, every other player is good. So we're not good half-hearted, are we?
These games as well, like, you know, the games are important for the teams, but the people out there just want to meet the players. So, you know, Isak and Bruno are going to be there. Eddie Howe is going to be there. You know, this is what they want. There'll probably be an ex-player or two who've gone out there, maybe a Shea Given or a Ryan Taylor or something like that. You know, this is what the club does. Shoulder Amiobi, whatever. They'll put on events with Darren Eales. It's all about that, to be honest. But yeah, Mitch, I think it's a good squad.
Tied in with what we've just talked about, we do seem like we've missed a trick in terms of merchandise out there. I saw the Borussia Dortmund are out there at the minute as well, pre-season. And they've got pop-up shops in 2 or 3 places. I presume where they're going to be playing. I know one of the places is Osaka. However, the controversy they've caused is they produce shirts with a stylized Asian script on the back, which is a little bit sort of, it's one step shy of popping up wearing a lampshade on your head and asking for fly lice, you know. It's a little bit, it's upset a few people, shall we say. But the important thing is, though, they have got these pop-up stores where people can buy the shirts. And I believe some of the other clubs that are in Japan for the pre-season are doing the same. We've got nothing. And so, again, these sort of are little tricks that we've missed out on, possibly. But I do think the thirst for football around the world at the moment, and the thirst for Premier League football around the world at the moment, is so high that doing any trip like this, you just need to show up. You don't need to have, because the actual intricate knowledge of the game is not necessarily there. However, I also see the argument that says you want your big names there because in the way modern football supporters work, some of them do just support players and they'll follow player from club to club to club. So if you've got your big name players there, yes, there'd probably be a tiny amount of people who would want to latch on to the big names. But I think for me, just turning up is enough at the minute.
Okay,
but I do wish would not miss the trick with the merchandising thing and getting the shirts out there and getting everything right, so to speak.
Okay, we've got 5 minutes left. I'll combine all of these questions into one. Lee Jones says, evening lads, by the end of the transfer window, with the current squad, would you be disappointed if you only signed 2 or 3 players? Jason says, if this window is underwhelming, do you think that the sentiment towards the owners will change? Already seems to be ramping up. And John says, lads, would you be okay with 2 genuinely quality signings, even arriving late in the window? Do you not think that sometimes these things just take time? So combination of all 3 there, Stu, really. Would you be happy with 2 or 3 players in this window, as long as they're quality, I suppose? And, you know, are people waning towards their support of the owners?
I wouldn't have thought so. We know where the squad needs improved, and if you're talking to improvement, you're talking about better than what we've got. So there have to be quality signings. The people in those positions that we're looking to replace were good enough to get us into the Champions League the season before last. So it is a tight market. We've got gaps in the squad that need to be filled numbers-wise. So I think they've done the padding out of the squad with the Kelly signing, the goalkeepers, etc. I don't think anyone would be shocked if Dubravka left. It looks like Trippier has gone or is about to be gone. So yeah, I think there'll be minimum 2, but at least 3 quality signings added, and they'll come at a price. So I'm not worried. I expect us to start the season a lot stronger than we finished last season, squad-wise.
Same question to you, Mitch, just to finish off.
I can't see me being underwhelmed by the end of the window. There you go. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Trevor says, I like a debate, Steve. Your mate Cloggy, under 21 vacancy. Me view, we haven't had success with any old boys. Speak soon. Great show, Trevor in Thailand. Trevor, thanks for tuning in. Great to see you back in the chat. Yeah, listen, Cloggy would be a good choice. He's got experience. I mentioned it on Friday. Look at what he did at Huddersfield. You know, beat Brian Clough's record. I think Cloggy would be a great choice. I'd love to see him back at the club. Stu?
Yeah, me too. I think he likes to play possession football. He likes to play attacking football, and we know he bleeds black and white. And it's just whether he wants to commit to that or enjoy what he's doing currently. And that's it. It's about attitude. And if he's genuinely head turned by it, I think he'd be a great addition to the team. Just before we finish, someone that I think we all know just sent me a message saying, "Hey Stu, I'll just read it now. I knew that you do podcasts, but I've never bothered watching. You never told me you did one with film star Steve Wraith and with Ed the Duck." So there you go. That'll be you, Mitch.
None of money's got a migraine.
Been drinking on Gosforth High Street, Mitch, so you might have remembered from last week who was
Gary, thank you. He says, great show, lad. Totally agree. We need to move to the next generation, get in. And I'm happy to let the club do the transfers. Yeah, lots of people just giving the show lots of praise. Thank you, everybody who's tuned in tonight. Lots of new faces in the chat as well. I know that's sometimes because we managed to broadcast onto Facebook, LinkedIn and Twitter. If you're watching one of those channels, please go to YouTube now, find NUFC Matters. We do 7 shows a week. Hit the subscribe button. It is free. And if you want to help the channel, hit the join button. $1.99 a month is all it costs to give us a little bit of support. I'll be back tomorrow night with the Fans Forum, and that will be at 6 o'clock. And for now, it's getting to bed, Mitch. Go and sort your migraine out. Thanks very much to you, and thanks to Stu. Take care, lads.
Cheers, everyone.
Enjoy the last weekend.